time it off once. All right, are we ready? Guys, are we ready for another episode of Real Talk with Ian and Ian? It's a privilege to come back to you on another Sunday afternoon, a Sunday evening. To all the viewers, the loyal viewers, for the visitors, for everyone that might be coming on this, tuning in tonight. We're so delighted and excited because we're going to bring you a special episode. This is a wonderful kind episode. We was fortunate enough to get our featured guest today, who is a doctor of chiropractor. And if I know everybody might hear the word, chiropractic, and we're going to give you some details today about how to prevent you from getting injury. We got a lot of the athletes, we got the young one, we got the elderly. Everyone need chiropractic care. This is one time that I could say that I have benefit from chiropractic care. If it wasn't for me getting any chiropractic care right now, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So I'm a living testimony of some of the information that we're going to receive tonight. So before we get into the real talk conversation with Dr. Marco Belizaire, originally from Panama, we're going to hand you over to the health and wellness specialist. So we got a health and wellness specialist, we got the doctor of chiropractor, and we got a little guy that ran in the Olympics here with a good combination. So we hope that this program can educate, motivate, and inspire in some way. So the next voice you'll hear is Mr. Ian Thomas. Welcome.
Okay, Ian, I'm very passionate when it comes on to healthcare. Anybody knows me, know that Ian, once, you talk to Ian, you're going to hear something about healthcare, and the benefits, especially in terms of taking care of our body. And just to have with us here, Dr. Marco Belizaire, somebody who knows the body more than any of us here on the platform right now, and who is willing to come on here to share his experience both as an athlete and now as a medical doctor, but a chiropractor who definitely believes mostly in preventative care. And that is definitely a passion of mine. I believe in prevention that dealing with the cure or cut it out or treat out something, whether you are medicate or cut out, I rather we prevent it. So this afternoon, I could not be more proud to have here on the platform with us, Dr. Marco Antonio Belizaire, and we just want to welcome him to the platform. But before we allow him to speak, we also want to just reach out and say a big thank you to all of our followers, the audience. They have been participating, for the past couple of months, they've been with us and really playing all out. And tonight we expect no difference. So if you're an athlete, if you're just a regular human being, all of us come down with some form of injury at some point. We'll ask that you just type in the comment, any question you want to ask. We have the doctor here, not very often, Ian, you get to sit down more than 5 or 10 minutes with a doctor. But chiropractors, they care so much. They spend time with you. But tonight we have with us Dr. Marco Belizaire. Doc, we just want to welcome you to this platform, Ian and Ian, and we're not going to expect nothing less than, what you do best, take care of the people. So welcome to the platform.
Well, my pleasure. I'm truly honored. I mean, it's when Ian first communicated with me, and I was congratulating him and asking and telling him, "Wow, I'm very impressed with what you're doing. Keep up the good work." And he said, "No, you don't understand. I'm inviting you to this show." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You're inviting me to this show?" I was like, "Well, so it is an honor. It is. I mean, I'm very grateful to be invited into your show and to be able to speak to something that I'm very passionate about, something that I love doing."
All right, guys, you heard from Dr. Marco. He has been a part of the track and field family from way back, in the 80s, for his home country, Panama. And we're going to hear the story how he went from from a student athlete, and where his heart was changed into taking care of people. And when you have a passion of taking care of people, we so happy for him in the track and field family. He have done so much. I know that a lot of our fans are into sports and all kind of different sports. We know Ian; he's a big cricketer, and I know that those I'm a former hurdler, but I know the history of taking care of the back and the spine, all the way down. That could improve your performance, and having a good posture and all the good stuff. So, Dr. Mark, as usual, we just like to know a little bit about who you are and basically, how everything all started for you. We just like to rewind back a little bit of time and just tell us a little bit about your background from, your early days, in college. Just let us know where you went to college and what was that like, your first experience.
Well, I was born in New York, but my mom and dad are from Panama. So I I actually grew up in Panama, and 40 years ago, soccer. I mean, track wasn't. I didn't care anything about track. So more so than when the Olympics came around, and I would watch some people run in some meets. So that was the extent of it. And I think it was 1981. I was a soccer player, and one of the instructors saw me running on the soccer field, and he looked at me. He says, "Wow, you got some speed." He says, "Would you like to go? Would you like to go? There's a national interscholastic meet in 4 weeks, and in 2 weeks rather." And he said, "Would you like to go?" So I kind of looked at him. I said, "What I got to do? I got to run." And he says, "Yeah, you have to go. There's a meet." He says, "You're just gonna go run the 100. Just go run the 100." I was like, "Oh yeah, that should be fine." And he says, "I will train you for 2 weeks." So my question was, "So when is the meet? Is it during the week?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "So I can miss school?" He said, "Yeah, I'll get you an excuse." I said, "Count me in." So that was my excuse. I could get out. So long story short, I went to the meet. He trained me for 2 weeks. I didn't know how to run. I didn't even know how to get into a pair of starting blocks. And he says, "You're going to win this, man. Don't worry about it." So I went there and I won the 100. And, I just said, "Okay, that's it. We're leaving." And he said, "Well, you won the 100. Why don't you run the 200? I said, "So how do you run that?" And he says, I said, "Well, this is how you run." I said, "Okay." So I went there and I ran the 200 and I won the 200, And then he says, "Well, you already won the 200. The 400 is coming up next." And I said, so that's to show you how naive I was. I didn't know anything. I said, "How do you run that?" He says, "This is how you run it." So I went and I ran the 400 and I won the 400. That was it. I was like, "Look, that's it. I wanted to." And I said, "Okay, that's it. We could go." So I went back. I remember going back to the school and I had all the 3 gold medals and things like that. And, but that wasn't, my focus. And then I enrolled in college in Panama, and now I'm starting to think is okay. Soccer wasn't big in the United States 40 years ago, so I'm thinking, okay, how can I get a scholarship to come out to the States? And then I started to think about track. And long story short, I went train for a couple of weeks, and went to one meet, left it at that. Then I had the following year. Following year in January, they had a national relay meet, and I went to the national relay meet, and then they said they were going to have a special 100-meter Century Classic, and they called me to the line. They said, "You're one of the guys that's going to run," and lo and behold, I run the Olympic standard. I ran the Olympic standard in 1984, and that basically catapulted me. That gave me, that opened the doors for a scholarship. So Russ Rogers, he was the 1984 sprint and relay coach. And he was the coach at Fairleigh Dickinson University. So I had a couple schools that